friend was 10 years ago. Philippines blows my mind consistently every single day.
It only took everyone like a night to get to know each other.
Everything's nice and cheap, and you can buy a bottle of rum for $2 Canadian.
There's only really one way to experience it, to come and do it for yourself.
Diving in those wrecks, just going in holes you wouldn't even imagine you could fit through.
It's the first place I really dived, and I felt like I've seen it all.
To sum it all up, it was probably the best 3 months of my entire life. And it just means freedom, basically. Travel is freedom.
You can't make better bonds than when you're traveling with people, really, because you're both experiencing the world together. There's no price tag on that, man. Priceless.
Okay, we are joined in the studio today with Curtis Smith. He's the founder and president of Free and Easy Traveler. How are you doing today, Curtis?
Oh, really good.
Good. So you traveled quite a bit during your undergrad, and I think you also did a fair bit of traveling with my brother Kyle as well.
That's right, yeah.
Can you tell me the story of how all this traveling in your early 20s transpired into the successful company that you run today?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unreal to think back to those early days, but I had taken a trip to Europe when I was 19, and then again when I was 20, Kyle, your brother, and we had decided to go to Europe for 4 months along with another friend, Kyle, and here we were traveling Greece for our first month of the trip, and we thought we'd get jobs and try and make some money, and then we realized, for one, we weren't going to make a lot of money in Greece, and just that we didn't want to work. We were having the time of our lives, and meeting people and just living every day to its fullest. And for me, it just I started reconsidering everything that was going on in my life at home, and if I really wanted to do it. And I realized I had such a passion for travel, and thought, hey, this experience we're having in Greece is something that most people in Canada have no idea is possible, and it would possibly change their lives the way it's changing my life.
Yeah.
And so Kyle and I talked lots about it, and so by the end of that summer, 4 months of traveling, I thought, I'm gonna go back, change my program in school, and we'll just see if this business could work. And
so what was your program initially? You were at UC, right?
And the previous year to this big year of traveling with Kyle, I'd actually started pre-optometry. So
oh, no way.
Yeah, I was on a pretty serious school schedule.
Yeah.
So I think that was actually a big thing for me, was having gone from being so serious about life and no flexibility and not really doing anything to make myself happy, to going on the other side and being like, you know what? Every day is about making yourself happy. And
right.
And it just was like, I want more of that in my life. And so then, I went back the next year, decided to quit the optometry thing, and said, I'll take general studies, learn more about the world, and learning a language, which eventually went into international relations as I kind of stuck with that career path.
No way. Yeah. So international relations, that was business focused?
No, it actually wasn't. It was
really?
much more like social sciences, like languages, humanities. And, at that point, as the business began to work, I, had less of a need per se to necessarily choose another career path, and school was more something I just did more to get a degree and something enjoyable.
So you finished the international relations, and then
my university degree ended up taking me 10 years because I was changing programs, and it became a balance for me. Was as the business began to work, it was like, well, the university crowd is my demographic. So while I'm in school, I'm going to be advertising, setting up tables, postering around the campus. And so it just became this blend of spending spending my time at school, part-time studying, part-time trying to run the business, and then a part of the year also traveling abroad.
Right. So did you have this idea to run these trips all planned out, or?
Well, yeah, I think, the first year was, I definitely threw myself into it. Like, I can think back to that first year that I was offering trips, and I just had posters all around the campus. Come to Greece for 30 days, 6 islands in Athens, party and travel with a group of easygoing students, and have the time of your life was kind of the plug. And so people were into it, but sure enough, they'd ask me and they'd be like, hey, yeah, so like, you've obviously done this before. Like, what experience do you have in this business? I was just like, well, I mean, no, it's just me. And be like, well, why am I going to trust you? It was like, here's my student ID, or here's my license, or you can talk to my parents, or whatever. Like, and I mean, some people didn't of course have the complete faith, but it's surprising that we actually got 2 groups that first year, 35 people, and so your brother Kyle and I actually went back to Greece that next summer and led 2 groups, and just the reaction from everyone on the trips. They had that same experience that we had the year before, and so it was like, wow, this really worked. We were able to provide this kind of life-changing experience to people, and so for me, it was, I just knew I'd found my career and that I was going to pursue that as far as I could.
Now, on that first initial trip, were there any obstacles in the way that may have taken place?
Oh, geez, yeah. I mean, it's a good thing I had Kyle along with me, because, I mean, there was obstacles from the very first.
Yeah.
I mean, for one, we had not left quite enough time for our research mission, so here we were 2 days before the group's arriving, and we're on the other side of Greece going, geez, we need to book these hotels and get back to it. Sure enough, we make it to Athens in time, and I mean, our first hostel was a bad choice in Athens. And,
really?
I just remember, like, as we're taking the group to the hostel, there's, prostitutes at the side of the streets. There's needles on the ground. So they're like having to kick them away before you walk into the...
Oh, no, it's nice. It's nice.
It's like, all right, maybe we need to spend a little bit more on these hostels.
Oh, my gosh.
But, I mean, those were all part of the learning experiences. And fortunately, we had such a cool group. And but a bigger thing was here, the first island we went to.
Yeah.
We show up and the hostel owner says, you know what, I didn't really think you guys were gonna come. I don't have enough beds for you guys. And we're like, well, we have a group of 26 people.
Yeah.
How many beds do you have? And he's like, what, like 6. And we're like, geez, that is not gonna do.
Right.
It's like, well, if you guys want, you can sleep on the roof.
On the roof.
And we actually managed to sell the group on it, as like, we didn't tell them that there were no beds. We just said, hey, there's this option to sleep on the roof. And one by one, people were like, yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, let's do the roof. That is awesome.
So we managed to play it off. But our first few days were definitely like, oh gosh, we got our hands full here. But no, all in all, it really worked out awesome.
So where did the name Free and Easy Traveler come from?
I think just from the mentality of what I wanted to, like, the company to epitomize, and so it was more just that feeling of like living free, taking it easy, going from optometry and so like stressed and busy and serious. I had taken this breakthrough and I was now living life free and really enjoying myself, and so was going over a lot of different names or words, and all of a sudden stumbled upon Free and Easy, and then said, yeah, that fits it perfectly.
Just stuck.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you ever think of what your life would be like had you not decided to follow up on this?
I haven't really thought too much about it, but it is interesting to think of what I did imagine myself doing prior to that, and I definitely don't look back at all, and I'm really happy of the choices I did make.
Because it honestly is an amazing story for the viewers and listeners, because you had a cross in your path there, right? And you just decided to follow it up with this company you started, and obviously you've had amazing success since, right?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that's one lesson that I like to share with people, is that if you have a passion for something, that, you know, you'll be surprised at what you can achieve, because, you know, it's almost like people are like are attracted to passion. So if they see that you have an idea and you're going for it, there's all these other things that kind of come in your favor to kind of help you succeed. And you know, I think it's pretty easy to be fearful and doubtful, but you know, I like to encourage people, why not take a chance, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
So
You also have a little bit of a development going on down in Nicaragua, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about what's going on down there?
Oh yeah, that's been a more you know, recent development over the last 5 years. The company was really focused in Southeast Asia for a number of years. Of course, starting in Europe, then to Southeast Asia, and then here these last 5 years, we've been running trips in Central America, and you know, I really discovered that, you know, there was this beautiful paradise, and like, you know, a little easier, closer to home than say traveling all the way to Southeast Asia, and got to thinking more and more about a place, and you know, being able to offer something where Canadians could rip down there, and you know, all of a sudden we found the beach, and this one place that was still so remote and barely had any development on it. It's a surf beach, you know, gorgeous, nearly kilometer-long beach, nature reserve, estuary, like really a thing of beauty. And the opportunity came along to buy a little parcel, and so we bought about 3 years ago and have started right into designs. And these last 18 months we've been building, and so the project has definitely escalated from the beginning, and here now where, you know, it's going to be a 5-bedroom house and and another 2-bedroom cabin, enough capacity for 24 people.
Holy smokes. 2
yoga decks, and you know, only 3-minute walk down to the surf. So it's quite exciting to see it all coming together. And you know, we've recently named it Casa Horizon, and you know, in the next 4 to 6 months it's pretty much complete.
No way.
Yeah.
So you will be doing guided trips down to this resort that you've created down there.
And it's already a destination on our Nicaragua trips. So we have 10 and 20-day Nicaragua trips, and people will go down and spend 3 or 4 nights as one of the destinations. And we've also run 3 yoga retreats there.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so even partially complete, we've already started to run some stuff there. But yeah, it's getting close to the full-blown resort hotel.
That's amazing. So can you give a little bit of an outline of how your trips work and the destinations that you go to?
Yeah, well, I think our trips have always had that same sort of mentality, going back to the first one, that was like, you know, from what we had experienced on that initial trip of having time to slow down and being off the beaten path, and a bunch of young people having the time of their lives.
Yeah.
And so, you know, most of our trips nowadays are anywhere from 10, 20, or 40 days long. So they're generally longer trips than probably 15 to 22 people. Age demographic is about 18 to 30. And so it's got a really cohesive kind of feel to it, where the people who come on the trips aren't just, you know, like other travelers and they have their tour guides, but instead it's like, it becomes a real group of friends, like right off the bat. And so it's like you're traveling with friends, not a tour per se.
Yeah.
And so we've always really tried to keep that feel. And, you know, we hear time and time again that people, you know, were blown away just by how much they enjoyed that vibe. And so I think that's something that really separates us from when people think of a tour, because, you know, we don't even like to use that word necessarily about who we are, because we're almost like the antithesis of that. Like we are a backpackers, independent travelers group trip. And so I think that for young people who, you know, don't want to have, you know, their handheld all the time, they want freedom, I think this was really a good happy medium. And so yeah, we've now, you know, 14 years running trips. We've got trips in Greece and Turkey, Croatia, and then of course Southeast Asia. There's Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and all in all, like with these trips, we've got more than 180 days of trips just in Southeast Asia alone.
Yeah.
And we've got them comboed up. So if people wanted to, they could literally go like 20 in Vietnam to 20 in Indo to 40 in Philippines. And so it's kind of neat that just people can almost pick and choose what suits them best and maybe go do a 40, 60-day trip kind of thing.
That's awesome.
And then just to finish the country list there, we've got Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Peru, and South Africa also.
South Africa too.
Yeah, that's just
gosh.
our newest country we just added this year.
Yeah. So, how many people would you say that you employ around the world right now? Just ballpark.
Well, there's about 13 of us who are full time year round, and then about another 40 leaders who work part time and have another job kind of part of the year. But yeah, about 40 trip leaders. So, I mean, over 50 people directly working for us, but it's, you can almost think of it as an extension of with all these like tour operators and these locals who run guest houses and hotels and offer like day trips and all this kind of stuff. And, in Thailand, for example, like where we've been going for 13 years, these people have seen probably 5,000 or more of our travelers come through, and it's been a big part of their well-being throughout that time. So it's 50 direct employees, but it kind of spreads to a bigger network of people who really have a huge part in helping us to create our trips.
Well, I love how they're helping you, but you're also helping the local economies as well, right?
Oh yeah, and we always try to keep that in mind when where we're putting our dollars in another country, and it is nice to see when we can make a positive impact in the community for sure.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you face so far in running the company?
I guess, sometimes media and, just if there's a fear in the world, if all of a sudden, like, right now there's Zika that people are a bit paranoid about, and it's like, oh, geez, it's happening in all of the Americas apparently, but, that scares people off from travel.
Exactly.
So there's those kind of things, but for the most part, we find a way to get by those, or fortunately we have other destinations that we can try and put some focus on. I think it's just all the variables that can come upon in any kind of trip. So those are what keeps us on our toes whenever we have a group in a country. And recently we had one of our group leaders deported from a country.
Oh no, that's not good.
I mean, no fault of his, but there was a misunderstanding with the company that we were running a trip through, and they had this day trip planned, and they didn't have their certificate proper for up to date or something. So it came along and said, hey, who's helping with this group? And it's like our trip leader, and it said, okay, well, they're not running their trip right. You're gonna have to leave the country. And
oh my gosh, jeez.
So that was a shock, and there's all of a sudden the group is it could have been a lot worse, but fortunately we had two of our other staff there along on the trip, training, and so it was an easy transition. But there's those kind of things that you just never know, maybe how the laws or customs will work in another country. But it's most of the challenges are things that we enjoy and find a way to overcome.
Exactly. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on was your social media following. How important is social media to your company?
Well, it's huge, because for one, like I mentioned, our demographic is that, younger 18 to 30-year-olds who are huge in social media, right?
Yeah.
So, and especially our type of experience, it's where people are having those life-changing moments. It's the kind of thing that people want to share with their friends and their family, and they're in some epic location or on some beautiful beach. So for us, it's great that people will have their experience with us, and then they go straight to social media and share it, or Snapchat that they're
Exactly.
about to bungee jump from 200 meters in South Africa. So it's pretty cool to think what technology allows, that our travelers are across the world, and meanwhile their friends are getting live updates of this cool thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's been great, and definitely I think looking back, say prior to this recent generation, and even what other travel companies might have had to deal with in 15, 20 years ago, they wouldn't have had that kind of opportunity for
Oh, exactly.
So it's been cool to be a part of this newer era and just adapt and change and move along with it.
So I think you guys have amassed one of the largest travel company Facebook feeds of over 250,000 followers. With that, was it one viral post that got you going, or did it just grow organically over time?
It's more organic over time, but it was something we really had to put some continual effort towards. And there was milestones all throughout, like 1,000 fans.
Crack a beer.
That's right.
Yeah.
10,000, 50,000,
Yeah.
100,000. These were all huge milestones for us, and things that we'd have Facebook contests or other ways of just getting people involved and sharing the fan page. So it's been exciting to kind of be ahead of the curve and to really get a following and keep it.
So for those watching and listening to the podcast, how can they get a hold of you guys online? What are the different mediums that you guys are posting on? And
our website is fneasy.com, so that's just a short form that we've taken on. 4 letters, F and Easy. Then on Facebook, it's actually spelled out Free and Easy. And then, of course, Instagram, it's also Free and Easy.
Yeah.
And then Snapchat, we've got, I believe it's Inside FN Easy.
No way. Yeah.
So it's a little inside to what's going on in our trips. And, that's something we've actually been having a lot of fun with is our daily Snapchat feed, because
I got to get on that one. I didn't even know you guys had one. That's awesome.
Yeah. Because it's, one of our staff will say, hey, I'm taking the Snapchat feed for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it'll be in the Philippines on this 5-island boat trip and snorkeling or whatever.
No
and so you'll get these cool, like maybe 8-second moments of what's going on in the Philippines. Then all of a sudden it flashes to another country where another one of our leaders will kind of highlight a day or night that they're having there. So yeah, all these different things, but just Googling Free and Easy Traveler kind of thing is easy to track us down and check out the website and whatnot.
I'll make sure I link them all up in the show notes, and then we'll put them on the Facebook feed as well. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
So one final question for you here: if you could go back in time and change anything in your life or your company, what would it be?
I'm someone who looks at the present moment and sees that if I'm really happy with it, and everything that's come to be aren't things that I'd want to change. So it's there's little things that maybe I would have done differently, but ultimately the final thing is a place that I'm pretty excited about. So there's not really anything I can think of or want to change.
The enlightened response, and I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Curtis Smith, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
This has been awesome.